Still, time marches forward, Magi-chan explains to the reader. During the week, Wild told Sandy about what had happened that day. He spent the time giving her tender, loving care and attention. We see Wild swinging through the city on his vine line, with Sandy hanging on precariously from his back. "Wee, go faster, Daddy," she says. At a playground, Wild takes Sandy to a sandbox. "Yay, this soft sand is fun. Thank you, Daddy," she says. We again return to Chris's speech earlier in the week. "I apologize to Mao for cursing him, and I offer a forgiveness blessing to him," Chris says. "Wild asked me to teleport his treehouse to over Samoma's rabbit hole," Magi-chan says. "He crafted a trap door to merge the two houses together. Mid-week, Sandy Rosie evolved into a ground-type Rosichu. We see Wild in his home reading Red Riding Hood to Sandy as she lays in her crib. Then we see Sandy in her evolved form. Sandy Rosichu, ground bug type, ability static, age less than 1 year, skill level greater than 25. Aside from her spiky hair, Sandy looks exactly like Simone the Rosichu. After Sandy evolved, Magi-chan says, she started training to fill in her later mother's shoes. Sandy trained with her grandma and grandpa Sandslashes. Christian and his Pokemon. Wild taught her English, writing, and beginning ninja skills, and Zappino would mentor, babysit, and play with Sandy. Although she is less than a year old, she has the intelligence of a 4th grader, and she will be enrolled into Anna Weston Elementary School. Sandy also hangs out with Sarah, Christine, and Robbie. We see scenes of Sandy's training. First, she digs into the sand with her Sand/grandfather. Next, she uses her drills to tunnel underneath Inuyasha, Chris's Blaziken, and attack him by surprise. Yet again, we flash back to Christian's speech from the day Simona died. "I apologize for portraying intrusion onto Alex's property and borrowing Asperchu and his parodic version characters," Chris says. We return to Magi-chan's account of events. Sandy grew to skill level 25 by the time the trial of Alec, Even, Mao, and Sean as their attorney versus Christian, Sonichu, and Rosichu and the city of Quickville, Magi-chan says. We see the Quickville courthouse at 10 a.m. that day. Inside, Mao, Alec, Evan, and Sean sit at the defendant's table, while Chris, Sonichu, Rosichu, and their attorney sit on the plaintiff's side. "Hear ye, says the bailiff. "This court is now in session. All rise for his honor, the dude who has a lot of things that takes him off greatly, Judge Slack Lewis." Again, we flash back to Chris's speech from the day Simona was killed. I also apologize to Alec for labeling him with the assumption of female entrapment. I had no intention of any portrayal of molestation. Those 4 Rosichus were being treated like hamsters, Chris says. In the present, the Honorable Slack Lewis addresses the courtroom. He is an older man who bears a striking resemblance to former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. "All right, this is my courtroom," he says. "This kind of trial is my specialty, because the website of the defendants, the Asperpedia, is so awful it makes me want to take a bath full of scorching water with a toaster." Remarkably, he does not recuse himself. "Magi-chan Sonichu, please mind-link the defendants with a jury," he says, "and let's start this show. Harvey Blaziken, your opening statement, please." A man in a blue suit and a Blaziken mask, apparently Quickville's district attorney, stands up and addresses the court. "Thank you, Your Honor. When I read or watch original works, be they television programs, movies, or better yet, books and art, I show full appreciation as the author took his time and found his inspiration to make their creation the best. If there is a lack in new pieces for an amount of time, it is apparent that the author is at a temporary loss of inspiration. I wait patiently with true loyalty and respect because I understand that inspiration will return to the author soon enough, and that patience is well rewarded with more great works only that one author is capable of creating. It is obvious that these four, the defendants, did not understand this, and wrongfully felt it appropriate to portray death upon the author, his work, and their characters. That is just wrong. That good author, who is being disrespected by the defendants, is none other than our good mayor, Christian Weston Chandler. As Marby Blaziken finishes, we yet again return to Chris's speech from the day of the incident. While I truly did have real-life events and errands to deal with, I had little excuse for not updating, even a little bit, the Wikipedia, says Chris. Back in the courtroom, Slack Lewis continues the trial. Well put, Blaze, he says. Sheen, state your defense. Sean stands up to address the court. No worries, Mao, dude. I got super high last night and wrote every thought down, he says. We're screwed, thinks Mao. Yeah, we Fior lost patience with Chris Chung. He makes bum promises of constant updirts on his web-B verse of Quackipedia, and he is lazy. I want a nap. We gore him up to make a statement. We four are losers, and we know a loser when we see one. Mellow out. You'm cool, Honor. Order in the court, says Lewis for no reason. I'll have a beer float and some pot stickers, says Sean. Derp-de-doo. I see. Well, you four have been charged with the murder of Miss Simone LaRosachu, copy and theft of the citizens of Quickville, Virginia, mockery of said characters and Christian Chandler, and profanity to the max. Even as Slack Lewis speaks, we return once more to Chris's speech on the day Simone was killed. And I apologize to all of my fans and readers for disrespecting y'all in my mailbag replies, as well as belating the updates, Chris says. Returning to the day of the trial, Judge Lewis asked the defendants, Alec, Evan, Mao, and Sean, how do you plead? Not guilty, say the four of them in unison. Very well. Mr. Blaze, tell me more of these four, says the judge. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present Exhibit A, says Marby. Videos, printed pages, and photographs of the Asperpedia website, and the comic pages therein. Of the comic pages drawn between the defendants, there are clear, unacceptable, and unapproved depiction and portrayals and false tales of our local electric hedgehogs, plus portrayals of deaths in horrifying, gory detail, setting Christian on fire, false witness bearing, nudity, and TVMA words. Exhibit B, the remote control that activates the sensor found on the Voltorb that blew up the women's room toilet, and Miss Simone LaRosachu. And of course, the psychic eyewitness, Magichan Sonichu, and his findings from within the defendants' minds. Nothing further. Once again, we flash back to Christian's speech from the day of Simone's death. Thank you all for your patience, respect, and loyalty. I am Christian Weston Chandler, Mayor of Quickville, Virginia. Have a good and safe day. February 5th, 2010, says Chris. In the present, Sean attempts to refute the prosecution's case. In our defense, I have a rock, he says. Sean holds up a rock and shows it to the courtroom. Because we rock. But even though the defendants do indeed rock, Judge Lewis is unimpressed. More like rocked out of your minds. I think we've heard enough. Jury? With no deliberation at all, the foreman of the jury stands and delivers their verdict. We, the jury, find the defendants guilty X4, he says. I agree, says Lewis. I hereby sentence them to be executed by those who they each have hurt the worst from their crimes. Court is adjourned, and with a bang of his gavel, the trial ends as quickly as it began.